everyone, it's Karen. I wanted to review Breath by James Nestor today. I listened to it on Audible, so I do not have a copy. Maybe I will put it somewhere. But it was really good. I gave it 4 stars, and basically it is a book on breathing, just like it says, breath. And it talks so much about how important breath is for us and how there's so many other things, diet, exercise, all these things that people talk about quite a bit, and yet breath is something that we don't think about. It's involuntary, it just happens, and it has such a huge impact on so many things. There are a lot of diseases and illnesses that were talked about, including epilepsy, which I was kind of surprised by, and blood pressure, diabetes, just all sorts of stuff. Anxiety too. He talked about breath in so many different areas. And some of the most interesting things to me one of them was how breathing can shape the bones in our face and things like that, the structure of our face. And he was talking about how if you breathe through your mouth, which is incorrect and horrible for you. I didn't realize how horrible it was until I read this book, although I don't typically breathe through my mouth anyway, but except when I'm talking. But yeah, he talked about how that can do so much damage. It can mess up the way your face looks, not so other people would notice necessarily, but it can impact you so that you start having sleep apnea and a lot of other problems involving face structure and breathing, airways, air passages and stuff like that. It can just really impact you. He did a study where he had to mouth breathe only for a month, and they monitored all his different vital signs and blood tests and all that sort of thing, and they were horrible. And then he had it where he had to breathe through only his nose for a month, and everything improved drastically. So I thought that was very interesting. Another thing related to the structure of your face and your bones, he was talking about how back in the day people enjoyed foods where they had to do a lot of chewing. They were chewing, really tough sort of foods, and now processed foods, when we look at them, most of them are very soft, mushy, and we are eating more and more of these foods, and they're changing how our mouth and teeth and all that kind of work, and it's making our mouths smaller, which just obstruct a whole bunch of things. And then finally, this is what got me to read the book, and I thought it was so interesting. Basically, I've always been interested in just how connected all the major religions of the world are. You can just look at different aspects of them, and many times the messages they discuss are the same, or their creation stories are very similar, or I don't know, it just is eerie to me how people all over the world who possibly never met have created things that are so similar. And one of those things that involves breath is prayer. So when we look at prayer, when we look at, for example, praying the rosary, or I don't know, they were talking about other religions' versions of prayer, and when you took each prayer that's really famous from a certain religion, and you look at how you would need to breathe while you are praying that prayer, it was this certain breath pattern, and I believe it was 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out, and that was the same, eerily close to the same for all these prayers in all these different major religions. And not only were they similar, but this breath pattern was shown to have a ton of health benefits and just benefits to you in general. And I just thought that was so cool. So the other thing that's nice about the Audible copy, again, I don't typically review audiobooks just because I feel like I'm listening to them when I'm walking or whatever. I don't really have time to take notes because I'm typically listening in an environment where taking notes is not usually possible. But what was I gonna say? Oh, the nice thing about the Audible copy is at the very end, there's this one scientist that he talks about throughout the book, and at the very end, that scientist leads some of the breathing exercises that you can do. And I'm sure that in the book they probably have them printed, but I know for me, like meditation and stuff like that, I don't want to keep referencing writing that kind of takes you out of the state of meditation. So to have that added bonus of being able to listen to someone lead you through these exercises that are supposed to improve your health, it was really cool. And I do know the author James Nestor has a website or something where he said he had a bunch of resources on there as well. However, I have not looked at them yet. But yeah, if you are interested, you should definitely read this. I am not purchasing it for my personal collection because I only buy books that I'm like freaking out about. I must own this. And I really liked this. I really felt it was valuable, but it's not like freak out. But yeah, it was really good. So I'm curious if you guys have read that or if you have other kind of health books that you really like. I'm trying to think of the title. Okay. The other book it kind of reminded me of was Why We Sleep, by Matthew Walker. I loved that book out as well, and this kind of reminded me of it, just taking apart something that is so natural for us and really breaking it up and having you learn about it in more depth. So yeah, I hope you guys read this, and I'm curious if you like it or what you think about it after you've read it. Bye guys.